nothing is the same way anyway. Nothing is the same way. Wait, tell me we're all gonna be okay. Would you be there if they took this city away?
Hey guys, LunarSpylum27 here, bringing you 3 chapters of Fairy Tail, 341, 342, and 343. This is basically the beginning of the new arc, not the arc involving Zeraf. That would be the final arc, I'm assuming. This is the arc before that. Now, before we begin, we received the good news that Hiromashima has been promising for the Fairy Tail fans, and it turns out that the good news is that the anime is coming back. Don't know when, but the anime is coming back. Me, I'm about it, but this could be a good thing because once they get to the dragon invasion, they could actually add some filler fights between the dragons and the dragon slayers. They could actually further develop the fights, maybe give some characters a chance to shine, unlike what happened in the manga, so that could be a good thing. Now, let's get started with 341, The Morning of a New Adventure. The first 10 pages, minus the color page, fan service. Lots and lots of fan service. Then again, I shouldn't be surprised by this considering it's fairy tale and all, and this takes place at the woman's bath in the fairy tale headquarters. We see all the girls minus Erza and Wendy talking about everything has been changed ever since Fairy Tail won the Grand Magic Games. The Fairy Tail wizards have been getting more and more requests. Natsu and Gray went off on a mission together, and Erza and Wendy went off on a mission together, and it involved a play of reenacting Rave Master. I mean, you got Erza dressed up as Ellie, and then you have Wendy dressed as Haru. I mean, okay, well, granted, I've never read or watched Rave Master, so I thought it was a little bit funny that Hiromashima referenced his previous series. Well, actually, that was actually one thing to point out. I guess the second thing to point out is that Kana knew about Natsu groping Lucy, and she figures, why the hell not? Why can't she grope her too? So, yeah, Kana groped Lucy. Did I mention that this is 10 pages? I guess the other thing to point out is that Raventail's Flare showed up, and for a minute there, I actually thought we were going to get to see Kana fighting naked. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's something for all the fanboys to see, but that doesn't really work because Lucy convinced all the girls that Flare is now good, and then all of a sudden, Flare tries to help Kana wash her body with her hair. Okay, seriously, what the fuck? That is like borderline tentacle hentai right there. Well, minus the hentai and minus the tentacles, but with hair. Seriously, the fuck? I mean, come on. Hero, seriously, I said this many, many times. If you want to make a hentai, make a hentai. I mean, the first 10 pages consisted of naked girls. We almost saw their boobs. Actually, we saw their boobs. We didn't see their nipples, okay? So it's basically lots of naked girls, borderline tentacle hentai with hair instead of tentacles, boob groping, asses, boob shots, the whole shebang. I mean, good freaking god. Me, I get annoyed when it came to the fan service of Fairy Tail, but this takes place at a private bath, so I don't know. But did it have to be like 10 pages? Anyway, with Flare, I can't believe I'm spending so much time reviewing this. Flare, she said that ever since the Grand Magic Games, Raventail has been disbanded, and she has nowhere to go. Lucy considers her joining Fairy Tail, but she said that she doesn't want to join Fairy Tail, and so I don't get why she is here. I mean, like, if she doesn't want to join Fairy Tail, then why is she in the private bath in Fairy Tail headquarters? That doesn't make any sense. Unless she's lonely. Anyway, after that scene, Wendy, Lucy, and Erza and Carla, they're talking about Natsu and Gray's mission, and they're kind of worried that they're late. So they go off to find them, and all of a sudden they come across a giant pig man. No, I'm not kidding. A giant pig man. And it turns out for like 3 days, Natsu and Gray were fighting each other. You know, it's been a while since we saw Gray and Natsu fighting each other, arguing, constantly bickering, so yeah, sure, why the hell not? It's kind of crazy they're going at it for like 3 days. So Erza tries to break them up, but Gray and Natsu were so caught up on it that they accidentally punch Erza right in the nose. When they realize what they just did, they get scared shitless, and Erza does something to them, but we don't know what. But then we cut back to the Fairy Tail headquarters. Makarov received a request for Natsu and Gray, and apparently the request came from Warad Chiken Frig Warad Chiken Siken. Fuck it, I'm just gonna call him Warad. Anyway, Warad is actually the number 4 of the top 10 wizard saints, and he is actually one of the 4 heavenly kings of Ishgal, who sent the request for Natsu and Gray. And this is basically the final pages where it's building up to the next arc. So this chapter, honestly, this chapter felt like it was more comedy than like seriousness. So some of you guys might like this. Me personally, I didn't like the first half. I don't know why. I mean, honestly, I preferred seeing Gray and Natsu arguing against each other like old times. I mean, seriously, 10 straight pages of all the fairy tale girls, minus Wendy and Erza, naked in a private bath. 10 straight pages. I mean, we had, like, boobs, ass, hair rape, I think. I don't freaking know. I mean, seriously, what the hell was up with Flair? And then we had, like, boob groping. So this is actually something for the fairy tale fanboys. And for me, and that's too much. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm a girl. I'm not really into this kind of thing. I did like the second half. Second half was kind of funny, and we're gonna be introduced to one of the 4 heavenly kings. So seeing what he can do will be really interesting. So overall, this chapter, it was okay. This is basically more like a comedic chapter, like 338, The Great Banquet. Now let's get started with Fairy Tale Chapter 342, Warad Chicken. I still can't say his last name. Anyway, Natsu and Gray are heading towards Warad to learn what the mission is, and they're accompanied by Erza, Lucy, Happy, Carla, and Wendy. Of course, those 2 are constantly bickering again. These guys never get along. What is their deal? Anyway, we actually learn more about the 10 wizard saints. So far, we know that Jose, the leader of Phantom Lord, was one of them, as well as Jalal. Jura, who was number 5, by the way, and Makarov were 4 of the 10 wizard saints. The ones that are ranked from 4 to 1, they are the 4 heavenly kings of Ishgal. And apparently Ishgal is an old name for the continent that they're on, Fiore. Now, they actually reach Ward's house, and we see him like watering some plants. There was actually a moment where he told them to shut their mouths because plants like silence while he's like watering plants. But he says, I'm kidding, it's a joke. By the way, it's his like character trait. Whenever he's joking, he always says, it's a joke. Also, his head is shaped like a tree. No, actually, his head is literally a tree. When I first saw this, I freaking laughed my ass off because, oh my god, he has a broccoli head. But no, it's actually like a tree. I'm like, how do you even... I don't know. I don't want to question it. I don't want to know. Then again, I kind of find it a little funny. His head is a tree. After that, we actually learn a little bit more about Warad. He retired from his guild so he can focus on his efforts to bring back plants into deserts so that plants can grow in deserts. His magic is called green magic, where he could basically grow plants and trees and control nature. It was a pretty cool ability, and he was traveling in many deserts trying to bring back plants and trees, but he came across a strange village in one of the deserts. It was called the Village of the Sun, and this village worshipped an everlasting flame as its guardian deity. But when he got to the village, it was completely frozen. Everything in it, including the people, were frozen. And by the way, the people were alive when they're frozen. So he requested Fairy Tale to go to this village and unfreeze it and save everybody in it. Now, Erza pointed out that if Ward is one of the 10 wizard saints, why doesn't he go and try to unfreeze the village? But it says is that because he has no offensive magic. We actually learn more about the rankings of the 10 wizard saints. Apparently, they don't rank the wizards in terms of their strength, as in, like, the number 1 wizard is not like the number 1 strongest wizard in the world. No, apparently they just rank them in terms of their special abilities. I don't know like how that works though. I mean, basically you're just ranking 10 wizards based on their special abilities, not by their like strength in terms of their magic. In fact, there are actually other mages that are actually way stronger than Ward. And since he doesn't have any offensive magic, he asked Fairy Tail to do this. Now, since the village is actually 2,000 kilometers south from Ward's house, he uses his magic to summon a giant tree and it takes them to the village. Yes, they ride on a giant tree to get to the village. I thought that was kind of cool. And then all of a sudden, we get a flashback of Ward in his younger days. Now we see him with two other wizards. Him and these two actually built a guild headquarters for the guilds. So this was actually the guild that he retired from. It was Fairy Tail. So basically, he was one of the founding fathers of Fairy Tail, along with Mavis, Hades, and this other guy. I don't know who this is. I think is that like Ewan, from Raventail? I know that's not Makarov, but seriously, who's this guy again? Is he Loxus' dad? He kind of looks like Loxus, or he could be somebody else. I'm not sure. I mean, tell me, guys. I mean, who do you think this guy is? I don't know. So yeah, Ward is one of the founding fathers and a member of Fairy Tail. Along with Mavis and Hades and the other guy. Which actually, now that I think about it, that actually made sense because, the friendship speech that he said earlier. So, that's basically it for Fairy Tail chapter 342. This chapter, I actually like this more than 341. Now, this mission, this could go, like, either way. I'm gonna call it right now. Fairy Tail will run into an evil guild, and they have like some intention as why they froze the village of the sun. And I'm gonna assume that Natsu will fight the main boss, the main villain of the new arc. He'll get to the everlasting flame. He'll eat it. He'll get a power up and beat the crap out of that guy. I mean, it could end up like when he fought against Zero or Brain. The leader of Roycian says. But this chapter was actually more informative. We learn like what the mission is, what the next arc is going to be about. We also learn about how the ranking of the 10 wizard saints work. We even learn about the 4 heavenly kings of Ishgal. He is actually one of them. We don't know like who the other 3 are at the moment. We might see who the other 3 are. Maybe. I don't know. But this arc seems interesting so far. I don't want to get my hopes up of how this will turn out. This could turn out like most of the arcs throughout the series, but we'll just have to wait and see how this goes. So I kind of like this chapter overall.